The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, our plan is to axe the tax and cap the spending to bring down inflation and interest rates. We will have a carbon tax election, and people will choose whether they want to quadruple the tax to 61 cents with the NDP and the Prime Minister, or axe the tax under my common sense leadership. And in the meantime, people can't afford to eat. So will the Prime Minister show a little bit of compassion and accept my common sense demand to axe the tax on farmers and food?
The Honourable Minister of Housing.
Mr. Speaker, it is laughable when I hear the Conservative leader talk about affordability. He mentioned in a previous question some concerns he has around housing policy. His plan to build more homes is to cut investments in home building, is to raise taxes on those who are building homes, and when it comes to actually changing the way cities build homes, his deputy leader held a press conference to explicitly declare that Conservatives were siding with the NIMBYs when it comes to zoning reform. We are going to do what's necessary to put money on the table to build more affordable housing, create market conditions to get more homes built, and change the way that cities build homes so we can solve the housing crisis.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
He caused the housing crisis, Mr. Speaker. Under his role as housing minister, the amount of a paycheck necessary to make payments on an average mortgage is gone up to a record smashing 64% from 38%. And he is the only one, along with his Prime Minister, that wants to raise taxes on home building. A massive carbon tax on the building materials that go into assembling those homes. So, will the Prime Minister, instead of hiking the tax, accept my common sense demand to axe the tax on farmers, food, and houses at the same time?
The Honourable Minister of Infrastructure and Housing.
Mr. Speaker, it's interesting because he's actually put his plan on the record, and his plan includes putting the GST back on apartment construction for hundreds of thousands of middle-class homes in this country. He has one of the worst records in the past decade of anyone when it comes to getting homes built when he had the position responsible for housing in Parliament. Mr. Speaker, while he was minister, they built exactly 0 new apartments, 0 cooperative units, and only 6 affordable housing units across the entire country. We are helping get hundreds of thousands of homes built in this country, and we will do what it takes to solve the crisis once and for all.
They built 0 apartments.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. After pharmacare, dental care, and MAID, you'd think we'd seen the last of federal interference in Quebec's jurisdiction. No, the Liberals have announced that they also want to tell Quebecers how to build housing. This is the same government that lost control of immigration, created a Arrive scam, which is unable to pay its own employees through Phoenix, that created a monumental passport crisis, and it's unable to manage its own borders. Imagine, this same government wants to lecture the provinces and Quebec. Are they not at least a little embarrassed? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, investing in housing in Quebec, is the Bloc against this? Investing in our daycares, is the Bloc against this? Making sure that our young Quebecers go to school with full tummies, is the Bloc against this? If that's the case, may they do like the Conservatives. Bloc Conservatives seem to be on the same side. It's the Bloc Conservative Party. The Honourable Member for La Prairie.
They don't vote the same.
The Prime Minister has the gall to add that if the provinces don't want to bend to his conditions, they don't have to take federal money. Do you know what we call that, Mr. Speaker? We call that blackmail, and not with federal money. There is no federal money. It's Quebecers' money. This government, incapable of doing its own job, has no legitimacy to deny Quebecers their share of the money they pay in taxes. The Prime Minister cannot take the money of Quebecers hostage. He needs to stop playing political games. The Honourable Minister, the Bloc is not the government of Quebec. We're just in discussions with the Quebec government, and in fact, the Quebec minister said this week that they are convinced that they can find agreements that will be win-win, Mr. Speaker. That's what the Quebec government thinks, and that's what we think. It's win for Quebec and a win for Quebecers. It's just not a win for the Bloc. Once again, they're doing the same thing as their friends, their Conservative colleagues, and it's the same thing today. It's the Conservative Bloc together. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
How much money the Conservatives gave away to big corporations when they were in power? $60 billion in free money. Now, imagine what we could have done with $60 billion. Instead of giving them to corporate handouts, we could have built 1 million affordable homes. Now, the Liberals love to criticize the Conservatives, but they maintain those same corporate handouts. So my question to the Liberals, will they stop the free ride for CEOs? Will they stop the $60 billion in conservative corporate handouts and start investing to build homes that people can afford, start building a life that people can afford?
The Honourable Minister, Natural Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, the Honourable Member, for the question. Fairness is extremely important for Canadians. It is important that we are building a society that is socially just, that is prosperous, and that is environmentally sustainable. Our budget is going to focus on building more homes faster, making more life more affordable for Canadians, and growing an economy for the future. We are very proud of the work that we are doing. We are certainly ensuring that fairness informs everything that we do.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Had nothing to say about the conservative corporate handouts that they maintained.
The last time the Conservatives were in power, big business got a big handout. A blank check for $60 billion. A gift that the Liberals kept up. This money could have been used to build millions of affordable housing units. This is the price of voting Conservative. Will the Prime Minister commit today to reversing the Conservative $60 billion handout to big business? Yes or no?
Yes.
The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. It's really important to invest and to build a lot of houses quicker and more affordably.
It's necessary to ensure that we can solve the housing crisis. We are working at the same time to help grow the economy as we put money on the table, as we announced this week, to create an acquisition fund for nonprofits who are going to maintain affordability permanently. That's on top of the Affordable Housing Fund, which is investing billions of dollars to put a roof over the head of the most vulnerable. Mr. Speaker, we will do what it takes to make sure everyone in this country has a safe and affordable place to call home.
The Honourable Member